Good morning. My name is Father Rayappa. I am in the village called Kattupadi near Vellore, India. Today I am going to talk about Misericordiae, Vultus, a document written by Pope Francis on the Year of Mercy 2016. So now I am going to talk about it. I am going to read the article number 8 in Misericordiae Vultus, in which Pope declares, along with the St. John, God is love. God is love. God is full of mercy. And the Pontiff quotes number of miracles from the Gospels, telling us that mercy was the foundation for all the miracles what Jesus has done. Jesus felt mercy. He felt compassion. His merciful heart went after the poor and the sick and the hungry. And actually, he is quoting that multiplication of loaves in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 15. He felt mercy for the people, those who are hungry, and he performed the miracle. And on that day, 5,000 men, we are not counting the women and children, they ate food because God celebrated his mercy for his people. And also he quotes the miracle in Naim, the widow's only son who died, and Jesus goes on the street and he stops and touches the bier, and immediately he tells to the boy, "Young man, I tell you, arise." And the young man was brought to life again from the dead. The whole town was amazed at Jesus, the power of his mercy. So the basic foundation, the basic thing, what made Jesus to perform that miracle, according to St. Luke chapter 7 verse 15, he was persuaded by mercy, compassion. That is why he performed that miracle for that widow in the city of Naim. And the next one is my favorite, Mark, Gospel of Mark chapter 5, 19 verse, and Jesus tells to the boy who was possessed with demons, and you know that incident very well, in Karasanis, the other side of a Sea of Galilee. And Nazareth is one side, eastern side, and the western side, northwestern side is Karasanes. That is the place where a man possessed with demons was living in the cemeteries, and the whole night he was crying and he was howling, and at last Jesus goes and meets this demoniac, a person possessed with the demons, and he wanted to heal him, and he healed him. And you know that story very well. And when he asked, "What is your name?" the boy replied, Legion. Legion means a group of demons, all evil spirits, legion. So at last there was swine grazing next to the seashore, and the demons asked permission from Jesus, "Please allow us to enter in the swine." And Jesus gives permission. At last thousands of pigs, they are possessed with demons, and they all end up in the sea, they all die. So the villagers come and tell Jesus, "Please go away from our village because you cause so much of trouble and you kill so much of pigs. Please, we don't want you here, go out." But he tells to the boy, one who was possessed, now he is healed, he was clean, and he tells to the boy, "Go home to your friends," because that boy, he told Jesus, "Allow me I will go with you. In other words, I will become disciples. But Jesus says, no, go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. Wow. He is the first evangelizer. He makes proclamation of Jesus. He proclaimed Jesus. He is the first missionary. And he goes and tells, God has shown his mercy to me. Mark chapter 5, verse 19. And also the pontiff quotes about the calling of Matthew, the Levi. He was a tax collector, and but Jesus saw him with mercy, so he called him. So such a beautiful examples Pope is quoting in the article number 8 of Misericordiae Vultus. In fact, Pope Francis was impressed so much about the calling of Matthew, and on which St. Bede the Venerable comments so beautifully. He says, Matthew, with merciful love, God has chosen him. That is what he wrote. In Latin, miserando atque eligendo, which means, with merciful love, the Lord chose him. Pope Francis is impressed so much about St. Bede's, the Venerable text, miserando atque eligendo. Pope, when he was made bishop, he selected this text as his episcopal motto. With merciful love, God chose him. So I'm going to read for you, and I think you will be understanding better. Article number, paragraph number 8 from Misericordiae Vultus, Pope Francis writes as follows. With our eyes fixed on Jesus and his merciful gaze, we experience the love of the most holy Trinity. The mission Jesus received from the Father was that of revealing the mystery of divine love in its fullness. God is love, declares St. John in the first letter of John, chapter 4, verses 8 and 16. John affirms, for the first and only time in all of the Holy Scripture, this love has now been made visible and tangible in Jesus' entire life. His person is nothing but love, a love given gratuitously. The relationships he forms with the people who approach him manifest something entirely unique and unrepeatable. The signs he works, especially in favor of sinners, the poor, the marginalized, the sick and the suffering, are all meant to teach mercy. Everything in him speaks of mercy. Nothing in him is devoid of compassion. Jesus, seeing the crowds of people who followed him, realized that they were tired and exhausted, lost and without a guide, and he felt deep compassion for them. According to Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 9:36. On the basis of this compassionate love, he healed the sick who were presented to him. Matthew chapter 14, verse 14. And with just a few loaves of bread and fish, he satisfied the enormous crowd. Matthew chapter 15, verse 37. What moved Jesus in all of these situations was nothing other than mercy, with which he read the hearts of those he encountered and responded to their deepest need. When he came upon the widow of Nain, taking her son out for burial, he felt great compassion for the immense suffering of this grieving mother, and he gave back her son by raising him from the dead. Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 7:15. After freeing the demoniac in the country of Gerasenes, Jesus entrusted him with this mission. Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. Gospel of St. Mark chapter 5:19. The calling of Matthew is also presented within the context of mercy. Passing by the tax collector's booth, Jesus looked intently at Matthew. It was a look full of mercy that forgave the sins of that man, a sinner and a tax collector, whom Jesus chose against the hesitation of the disciples to become one of the 12. Saint Bede the Venerable, commenting on this gospel passage, wrote that Jesus looked upon Matthew with merciful love and chose him. Miserando atque eligendo. This expression impressed me so much that I chose it for my episcopal motto. Pope says it so beautifully. So mercy is the foundation for the existence of this cosmos. God created sun and stars, galaxies, pulsars, all of them because he had mercy. Creation is the outcome of the mercy of God. His salvation, His redemption, parousia, second coming, everything should be seen in the context of mercy. The whole universe, the past, the present, the future, will be subjected to mercy. I am existing because God is merciful. The filmmaker is filming this segment because God is merciful. I think all our life we should be thankful to God's mercy. God showed mercy, but now we need to show mercy to others. Please read the article number 8 from Misericordiae Vultus, which means the face of God, which is written by Pope Francis on the inauguration of the Year of Mercy 2016. And thank you and God bless.